Okay, hello Challenger. I'm happy to be here again in this live to help you overcome your career challenges. I'm Rafael Del Naro, Java champion, and I help you, Java developer, to be well paid and also to work with cutting edge technologies remotely. So today we're going to be discussing about overcoming the fear of long-term unemployment as a Java developer. So I'm going to start sharing my screen here. Hopefully you can see my screen. And so to overcome the fear of long-term unemployment as a Java developer, you need to update and upgrade. So what do I mean by that? I mean that you need to get better with Java, with the latest versions of Java. So preferably with the LTS versions, which are the long-term support versions. So Java 21 is the latest, and most companies, they are using Java 11, unfortunately, but it's still good for you to know the main Java features from Java 21. One very important feature is virtual threads, and this thread makes your microservices much faster if you use that correctly. So it's a good idea to see what's going on with the Java features, and also you need to be up to date with Spring Boot, Hibernate, because Spring Boot is really the framework that developers are using. So yeah, keep in mind that as a Java developer, you have to know the basics of unit testing, integration tests, end-to-end tests. You need to know about the cloud, about microservices. So you can't only rely on the knowledge you have on your day-to-day job, because, for example, to pass an interview, your knowledge from the day-to-day job won't be enough. You need to study outside of your job. So, for example, most of the Java developers work in enterprise projects, and to work on those projects, they don't need to know algorithms, data structures, or even system design very well, because I know that in most companies there is a standard, and you usually will follow a standard. I know that in small companies, usually there's no standards and you create a microservice with any technology you can imagine. But usually for Java developers, I know that most Java developers will be working for big companies, and there's usually a standard, right? So you don't need to create documents every time you're going to create your microservice to gather the pros and cons and create a whole new thing. Usually that's not what happens, but you have to be aware that if you're working for a small company, you need to do that as well. So it's a good idea to be up to date with the main frameworks, like Spring Boot is on the top. There is Quarkus, there is Micronaut. It's not vastly used, but the good thing is that if you're proficient in one of those frameworks, it's going to be very easy to do the migration from Spring to Quarkus, for example, because the essence are the same. So basically, those are frameworks built to help you write code for microservices. So, and you have to be aware that only knowing Java nowadays is not enough. You need to know how to build a robust microservice, a scalable microservice, and you need to know why you would use a message broker, or why you would use a load balancer, for example. We need to know those differences because the market nowadays requires a lot more from us. It's not only Java EE anymore. We need to know those frameworks. So you need to expand your skill set. So, for example, the biggest cloud provider nowadays is AWS, and I'm pretty much sure that if you learn AWS, you're gonna be okay for Azure, Oracle Cloud, or Google Cloud. And it's also good to know other programming languages like Python or JavaScript. It's gonna help you, for example, if you need to do a small change on the front end, it's good to know a little bit about JavaScript. Um, and if you need to do some changes on a script, it's good to have some knowledge of Python. And it's really not that difficult for Java developers because all the essence of the of the programming are in Python as well. So obviously you will see a lot less object-oriented programming code on Python. Usually that's what happens. Usually you're gonna see a lot of functions, kind of a functional approach. So it's gonna be different. And you also have to think about networking. So obviously not hollow networking, but you need to work on that. So for example, you can send LinkedIn connections for other Java developers. And it's also important to attend industry conferences and workshops because there you're gonna meet lots of speakers and you're gonna learn about all the technologies that are trendy in the market. And obviously, when you go to a conference, it's impossible to go very deep into a concept unless you go to a workshop. But usually, when you go to a conference, it's not the point for you to really learn that topic very deep. No, it's basically so that you are aware that those technologies exist, and then you do the work yourself to go deep in these technologies. So uh, that's one of the major benefits of going to a conference, because really forget about learning any technology deeply. It's gonna take a lot more time than a 1 hour talk. Like you just have a grasp of what are the main concepts, you learn why this technology is important, and then you do your own work. And uh, and I also highly recommend you to send connections to Java developers who are working in the city you want to work on. Because then, for example, if you write an article on LinkedIn, you're going to be more visible to them. And also join community groups. So it's important to participate in local or online Java developer communities. So I don't know if you know this term, but there is the term of Java user groups. It's also called as jugs. So you can find basically all over the world. So the communities are there, and definitely it's a good habit to attend those conferences because you're gonna meet Java experts and you're gonna be also aware of what's new in the market. And then that will give you time to not, obviously you have to be strategic on your learning. You can't learn random things, but at the same time, you need to be aware of the new things. And you can, at least run some code tests in something new that excites you, but always balance with the technologies that you need the most for your job or to get a new job, for example, or for interviews. And so to overcome the long-term unemployment as a Java developer, the fear of long-term unemployment, it's also a good idea to get certifications. So for example, the Java certification is excellent. It enhances your knowledge so much with the Java language, and it also avoids you to reinvent the wheel and use features that are, for example, rewrite a sorting algorithm, and you will have that in the collections framework, right? You have all of those methods ready for you in the Java API. So if you don't know if you don't know much about Java, you're gonna make those basic mistakes, and the certification is excellent for that. So the Java certification, also the AWS certification, they are very good. So AWS, it's good because you learn real world situations. And obviously you need to choose what motivates you. So those certifications, the Java certifications, for sure, very valuable to the market. And the AWS certification is also excellent. Those are the ones that will help you the most as a Java developer in the backend. And that could be a way for you to motivate your learning. And keep in mind that those are just tools for your learning, and you're not required to have a certification. But I like the certification because it gives you a structured way to study, and you know exactly what to study. And at the end, you have the certificate, which is great. Will help your in your CV. So that's a good goal to have. And regarding your so you need to put in practice your knowledge, right? Because only studying won't help you. So you need to balance both. So what you can do, you can work on personal projects or contribute to open source projects. So a question I get a lot from Java developers is, what project would they start? Start from a project you like the most. So if you like Spring, see a library you like from Spring, a library that you really understand, that you know how it works, and do a small contribution. You can start fixing a documentation or writing a unit test. And the more you do that, the more people will gain trust on you, and it's going to be easier for you to make bigger contributions. So I recommend you to think about one project you like. For example, it could be Mockito as well. And then if you make a small contribution, it's gonna definitely help on your CV. And also, don't need to, if you don't like to contribute to open source projects, it doesn't matter too much. Obviously, it will help on your visibility, but if you prefer, you can also create your personal projects, because what matters is that you have the skills, that you build your skills. But obviously, if you want to mix both to gain visibility and also improve your skills, open source projects, it's a good way to go as well. It depends on what you like. And you need to do a job market research. So you need to know what the market is asking for. So I know nowadays that most of the job stack, I asked many Java developers, and it's pretty much always the same. It's Java, AWS, it's Java 11 or Java 17. Some projects are Java 21, but this is quite rare. And so this means that if you know Java, the Java core well, to write good code, if you know the clean code principles, if you know design patterns, if you know solid, so important to create your methods in a way that it has only one responsibility, then it's gonna massively help you to create better code. And that is expected from Java developers. Not so much from other programming languages, but when you're a Java developer, usually it's a bigger project, right? It's bigger projects, and if you write good code, if you know the principles of how to write good code, that will highly benefit you. It will help you create clear code that's maintainable, right? So if you create your personal project and you write code that's really complicated, I assure you that after 1 year, after some time, you won't understand your code, and that's bad. So a way to solve this problem is to write code that's simple. So basically keep it simple, applying the solid principles. So that's highly important as well. And you need to know how to write good tests, right? So this is expected from every Java developer. Every code you write also unit tests. You need to test what you write. Uh, so yeah, you need to know that the market nowadays is demanding a lot of DevOps knowledge. Obviously, as Java developers, we don't need to go so deep into DevOps, but we need to know at least uh, how to do small changes or why those tools are there. You need to know about Terraform. You need to know about a little bit about Kubernetes. Uh, Docker is a developer tool, so you need to know at least the main features from Docker to run a project locally. And you need to know about Jenkins to build your project, to run jobs. You need to know all of those basic concepts. You need to know the software cycle, and you need to stay informed about what's going on in the market with AI nowadays. Uh, so it's we are using a lot of code from AI already. There is Copilot. There are lots of tools from AI. You don't that doesn't mean that you need to study AI, how to how AI works. It's good if you study a little bit, but that's not that's not what the market is asking for Java developers. Usually what the market wants is a developer who knows how to create scalable cloud systems, uh, usually using AWS, Java, Spring. That's usually what the market is asking for. Uh, so you need to also adapt the market needs. So back in the days, it was enough to know Java EE, the framework, the specification. But nowadays, it's a lot more. So Java backend engineer needs to know about message brokers. We need to know about infrastructure as code. We need to know about automation. We need to know about many things. Uh, so it's not only the backend anymore. We need to know about deployment. We need to know about cloud services, cloud providers, how to make them scalable. We need to know about tracing, logs. Um, so there's a lot, right? And we need also to work on our mental health. So how can we do that? So it's good to keep a structured daily routine. So I use a lot, for example, Pomodoro. So when I have a task to get done, I start my Pomodoro and I work on this task with full focus, and that helps me a lot. And if you have, things that are disorganized, and if you have chaos around you, it will for sure harm your mental health. And you also need support from your family, from friends. Uh, you can also seek for mentors in your job. There will probably someone there to help you. It could be your manager, could be um, a developer who you respect. That's a good idea to grow faster. And so let's see. And the other thing to overcome this fear of long-term unemployment as a Java developer is to have some financial planning. So it's really bad when you uh, have just enough money to survive and you live from paycheck to paycheck. So this is a really bad position to be in, because then you become kind of a hostage of the company, right? And anything someone tell you in the company, you have to do, because Otherwise, if you don't have at least 6 months of money to survive, then what you can do? You can't do much. So if you want to overcome this fear of long-term unemployment as a Java developer, you need to develop a budget, you know, to be able to live at least 6 months. And, you know, this is called also kind of emergency fund. So, and that also gives you more freedom to choose a better job. Then you won't be desperate. Let's suppose you lose your job and you have to pay the bills for the next month, but you don't have money. What's going to happen? You're going to choose the worst job ever. You won't care because you need to survive. So that puts you in a very bad position, and that gives you the fear of long-term unemployment. So you have to plan your funds for at least 6 months. If you can't do that, you're going to be always a hostage of your company. So that's a really bad position. Like, do you want to get the first job that shows up to you? So better to build this emergency fund, and also to learn a little bit about investing, because, you know, as Java developers, we have salary above the average. So if you don't invest your money, you're going to be losing your money to inflation. Inflation will eat out your money. So be careful with that. You need to learn the skills that impact you every day. Investing is one, communication is another one, how to gain visibility is another one, how to have a good LinkedIn profile. That affects you, right? Because if you are able to get a good job, you're better. You are in a better position to negotiate in your company, right? But if nobody knows you, if you're not in high demand for the market, then you are in a weak position to negotiate. So those are skills that are essential. Communication, we use that every day, right? I'm here communicating with you, and you also communicate as developers. You communicate through code, right? And we have to remember that we don't write code for the machine. I know that this is kind of cliche, everyone knows that, but we write the code for the other developer. And we can't forget that code is communication, right? You're writing your code in a way that you can understand after some time, and you're writing your code for other developers to easily understand what you wrote. So remember, essential skills: investing, communication, even your style, because you have to dress some nice clothes. And you know, unfortunately, people will judge you, people will judge me according to the clothes. You don't need to wear anything fancy, but, you know, at least something that is neutral or looks nice, not something extravagant, obviously. You have to work on, you know, you have to know how to gain visibility as well, how to show your work in a way that you're not annoying. Otherwise, if you don't know how to show your work, if you don't notice what's happening around you in the company, people will take your credit, and it doesn't matter how hard you're working as a Java developer. It won't matter if you don't communicate that effectively. People will take your credit, and it's going to be difficult for you to get a promotion. So you can't be naive as well. Okay, so another thing that you can do to overcome the fear of long-term unemployment as a Java developer, you can check freelancing platforms. So you can check, for example, Upwork, or you know, you can talk to your peers and see if there is something you can work on, you know, for temporarily, and then you can earn some money. So you can even, you know, if you like to share your knowledge, you can create your blog, and you can start writing the blog. Obviously, it's gonna take some time until you get compensation for your blog. And also, if you create a YouTube channel, that could be also an option, but obviously it takes some time. If you are sharing your knowledge about Java, it's going to take some time until you get a compensation for that. So the easiest way is to look for freelancing platforms. So you create a nice portfolio there, and then you can, check the Upwork platform, and you can create a portfolio project, and that will help you to earn some money while you're unemployed. You can also do consulting. So if you have connections in companies, you can ask them if they need consulting. So obviously you're gonna need to know a little bit about selling, about sales, but that's also a good way to go. Obviously, if you are selling your service as a consultant, you're gonna earn a lot more money than being a permanent employee. It's worth it. I know many developers who are doing consulting. They are making really good money, and that's something that it's a good route to go, obviously. And then obviously, and if you're going to the consulting path, you need to learn a lot about how to gain visibility. One of the ways to gain visibility is to share your knowledge. Why? Because when you share your knowledge, people trust you. And obviously, you can't share knowledge about something that's totally irrelevant to the market. So if you share your knowledge about swing, I don't think that will help you a lot, right? So because the market's a lot more focused on microservices and cloud services nowadays. So you have to have this balance of knowing what the market needs and sharing knowledge about those needs so that you solve the company's problems. And the good thing about sharing your knowledge is that the more you share your knowledge, the more people will trust you, and you can even sometimes bypass interviews. I know that interviews are, really annoying sometimes. It's a way to, basically an interview is a way to see if you are reliable or not, if they can trust you or not. And usually they do the stupid algorithms questions nowadays, which doesn't prove anything for enterprise project. Well, you need to know a little bit about algorithms, but there are some questions that are irrelevant, and it doesn't prove that you're gonna do a good job as an enterprise software engineer. And I know many excellent developers who were rejected because those stupid tests. So instead of having a conversation about their experience, do the stupid test, and many amazing Java developers are rejected because of those tests. Anyway, I know that this is annoying, but we need to play the game, right? If this is the game, we need to learn that thing. So that's how it is. So you go to that elite code hacker rank, you learn that thing, you get good, you practice. It is what it is. If the big companies are doing that, the other companies, they just follow. They have no idea why, but they follow. So that's what we need to do. We need to, play the game. The market is implementing now. So we need to learn. We need to practice those exercises that really you can't use on our day-to-day job, but it is what it is. Anyway, so even though it's annoying, you need to learn those things nowadays, because from what I see in the market, almost all the companies are asking about algorithms. And well, system design is different. It's important because when you are dealing with microservices, you need to know what's going on there. The system design makes more sense, but algorithms most of the times for enterprise projects doesn't make sense, right? It makes sense for big techs. For big techs, yes, because you're gonna be dealing sometimes with low-level frameworks. Sometimes you're gonna be working on a programming language. Sometimes you're gonna be working with services that really need high scalability, but usually for the vast majority of the enterprise projects, it's not needed. Anyway, I know it's what I'm saying here is controversial. That's my opinion, but I can't deny as well that it's good. It's a good knowledge for software engineers to know those concepts. It's gonna make you a better software engineer. Besides being annoying, it will make you a better software engineer. Personal branding. So you have to work on your LinkedIn profile. Well, why LinkedIn? Why LinkedIn? Because all the jobs I got here in Dublin was through LinkedIn. So if you're not on LinkedIn, you're not in the market. So you have to create a sharp LinkedIn profile in a way that you target your interest. So if you want to move careers from a tester to a Java developer, put that on your LinkedIn profile. Don't need to lie. Obviously, don't lie on your LinkedIn profile, but target your knowledge to Java, to be a Java developer. Or if you want to become a senior developer, or if you are moving from a legacy code to microservices, you have to target your LinkedIn profile that you want to work with microservices. Otherwise, you won't get. So you have to target basically what you want. Otherwise, people won't find you. Blogging is an excellent idea. So for example, if you want to move from a legacy code from a monolith to microservices, why not starting a blog, writing your learning process around microservices? That's gonna be great, because then if the interviewer asks you, oh, you don't know about, what do you know about microservices? And then you say, hey, here's my blog. Or you can put your blog on your LinkedIn profile or on your resume. So that will make you stand out immediately, because most developers don't take the action to create their blog. And you don't even need to go crazy on buying a host or a server. You can do that on LinkedIn. On LinkedIn, there is an area there to write articles. So do that, write the articles there. Start easy, don't create a barrier, right? So do that, work on your mindset. So I know that mindset is something that it's very underrated for developers, but when I started learning about that, it really changed my career. Obviously, it's not only that, right? You have to, you know, build your skills. You need to have good communication skills. You need to know how to handle people. You can't be naive and think that people will always be kind. That's not the real world, right? So you need to be aware of the things that are going on, and you also have to work on your mindset. It doesn't mean that you will knock down people, but you need to be aware of the things that are going on in the company you're working for, and you have to be always aware to defend yourself if someone attack you, right? So, and there are lots of ways to work on your mindset. So there is lots of books I like, and I will recommend you some books. I can even put an article I wrote about the best personal development books I read. I will put it here in the description of this video, and you can download it. And once you are in my blog, you can also download the Challenger Developer Guide, which will help you to be better, to grow in your Java career. So one book I like is Obstacle is the Way. And the other book I really like is How to Make Friends and Influence People. So that's an excellent book. And so what I do to read those books, because I don't have much time in my routine, I listen to audiobooks. So that's excellent. While I go do exercises, or I'm cleaning the house, or I'm washing the dishes, I'm always listening to something. So I'm always learning. I'm always using my dead time to learn something new. And that's the habit you need to have. So you have to create, you need to have some rules in your life. For example, one rule of my life is to never stop learning, because I know that this is a never-ending process, even more for software engineers, right? So one thing that absolutely sure, and obviously that's very obvious. Like we'll never know everything. At the moment you think you know everything, it's the moment you're going to be obsolete, right? You're gonna be on your comfort zone. And I met so many people, so many developers like that with a very inflated ego, and in the end, well, I think I'm pretty much sure that they are earning low salary. They didn't do much in their careers, and you know, so um, that's a danger. You need to, you know, the more you rise in your career, the more humble you need to be. Because if you fall in the trap of thinking you know everything, I'm assure you that you are on your way for obsolescence. You're gonna be obsolete. So uh, that's pretty much it for it, guys. Thank you so much. If you have any questions, you can reach out to me on Twitter, or you can put a comment here on the chat. I'll be happy to answer you. And also don't forget that I will do three three master classes on the 9th of December, 11th, and the 13th. So I'm looking forward to seeing you there. I'm gonna leave the link here in the description of this link, in description of this video. And yeah, thank you so much. And I really want you to grow in your career as a Java developer. And as always,